Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Fourth and Forever, brought to you by Roundtable Sports, your daily NFL news show, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. EST. Boy, do we have a show for you today. Richie, how you feeling, man? I understood you were sick last night.
Yes, definitely still feeling it. I don't know what's wrong with me, if it's allergies or something or a cold or a virus, but had to make this show, and it's hard to sit and be sick and not do any work. So that's why I forced myself to come on and be with you guys, and here I am. So we appreciate it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Salute to all the Roundtable Sports family, man. We appreciate it.
Well, you know what, Richie? I just so happen to think that you are better on your worst day than your competition is on their best.
Wow.
All right? That's how you damn live right there.
That's
all right?
something right there, man.
On your worst day, you're still out working your competition on their damn best day. Damn, I love that. I love it. TD, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I hope Richie feels better. I think yesterday when you were missing on the show, the chat and myself, we came up to a reasonable reason why you probably got sick. The Knicks had lost the night before, and you actually went to the game. So as soon as the Knicks out your system, you'll feel better, Richie. We really believe that.
The Knicks win tonight and advance to the next round. I'll be all cured.
Sure.
So there's one more game for the Knicks. I saw that the Lakers are eliminated as well.
Yeah.
Damn,
the Knicks are up 3-2. So if they lose tonight, Game 7 Saturday at the Garden.
Sad.
Damn, dude. Well, hey, let me tell you what. Just to make you feel better, I really hope that your Knicks ultimately end up coming out on top.
I'm going to be on a plane during the flight during the game, which sucks.
Dan, it don't matter. It's like the equivalence of the Colts playing the Titans in the wild card round, and they got the Chiefs next round.
It's the Colts and the Titans, man. We got Glenn coming in. I could not get Richie and Dan to show up last night for their own show. And so the boys are too big now to waste their time with the little people. I just needed a break from your absolute trash takes, Glenn. Like, that's what I needed. I couldn't take another Glenn delusion, like live chat scenario. I needed a mental health break. I'm just kidding, Glenn. I love you, but still.
Yeah, and I promise you did not want me on the show last night. The way I was feeling and looking, I would have been here shivering, like I was literally bedridden. So.
Oh, man. For me, I am on vacation. And since we saw TD take like a 3-month break from the AFC's Roundtable, I thought it was my turn.
It's actually 3 weeks, Dan. 3 weeks.
It was, it was a 3-week break for our good friend TD. But anyway, though, guys, let's go ahead and get into the business. The Jets have somehow made NFL history. All right. They are the first team in NFL history that has picked up 3 separate fifth-year options. Sounds like Aaron Glenn really likes the personnel that is situated over in New York. Richie, any further comments on that? Talk to me.
Yeah, baby. Of course, we made NFL history, man. That's what the Jets do. That's how good we are. We're just built like that. We're elite. We're NFL historians. But all in seriousness, the Jets really are showing you right now that they are prioritizing their youth on this roster. What this does is it picks up the fifth-year options. They're guaranteed to be here for 2 more seasons. The goal is, of course, Sauce and Garrett extended this summer. Jermaine Johnson is coming off an Achilles, so we're not sure. And then the people are like, yeah, what about Brees? Brees is not a first-round pick, can't pick up his 5th-year option. So, yeah, that's really the case here. It is the first time ever that any team has ever picked up 3 fifth-year options in the same class. And I also think it's rare. I mean, nobody has 3 first-round picks in a draft.
Yeah.
The fact the Jets did that was crazy. We had our own first 2, and then we traded back into the first round to get Jermaine. That's how we had 3 first-round picks that year. So first time it's ever happened. And I think, when this happened, a lot of people were saying this is the best draft class in a long time in NFL history. And I think they have a long way to go to keep proving that.
Now, what I find funny is that really with anytime that you see a new head coach take over a system, largely what they do is they just take what they inherited for year 1. But then in year 2, they typically start saying goodbye to a lot of very, very good players, and they begin that rebuild in year 2. I wonder if Aaron Glenn is going to do that, right? Because you look at what Mike McDonald did over at the Seattle Seahawks. He basically ran with what he inherited, but then he ended up completely overhauling the Seattle Seahawks roster this past offseason, and what seems to begin like he's bringing in his guys. Do you think Aaron Glenn is going to do the exact same thing next year, Richie? Or are there any players that you could like be shocked when
Yeah, I think you bring
crossing
up a good
26?
point. I mean, you talk about how good the Jets' offensive line is, and I keep reminding people that Joe Douglas deserves a lot of credit for this offensive line because 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen is Joe Douglas, and then Glenn and Muji just drafted Membu in the first round to solidify it. Douglas did a pretty good job with his roster, but where Douglas failed is the most important position, the quarterback position, which is why he got fired, which he deserved to get fired. He failed on Zach Wilson, bad pick. Went all in on Aaron Rodgers, failed. You get two opportunities at the quarterback spot as a GM. You're fired after that. So I think outside of the quarterback position, I like the roster. I really do. And I think that Aaron Glenn and Muji likes this roster. There's not been a lot of change. You know, they did not bring back DJ Reed. They replaced him. And there's a lot of guys on this team that I think they have a big plan for the foreseeable future. And I don't think there's going to be an overhaul of guys that's leaving this roster because I think they're pretty much aligned on the Aaron Glenn tenure.
Now, what are your thoughts on this, TD?
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer here. We knew this was going to happen. I know at least 2 of them are going to get their extension. We'll see if all 3 does. But Sauce and Garrett, they're going to book up for some money. You know, the Jets, they're in a good cap. Well, they're in a fair cap situation. Even with the 5th-year options being picked up, they got about $53 million in cap space next year. And when you look at it, when they get the extensions and their deals are signed, it's going to lower the cap next year. So they're going to actually have even more than the $53 million. But it would have been nice if they didn't have to eat Aaron Rodgers $35 million next year. He's counting against them 35 dead cap. So, but they're still straight. As long as Justin Fields work out, they'll be in a good place. Everything is going to hinge on him. But yeah, go ahead and lock your guys down. It's a no-brainer. Sauce and Garrett going to get locked down, but I'm a firm believer, and no Jets fan would agree with this, but time will tell. Man, Sauce, you got to lock him down, but I'm telling you, that's going to be the biggest mistake.
Oh, man. Well, you know what, Richie? I do need to ask you this, and I wish that I would have had an opportunity of asking you this last night when the news ultimately ended up breaking, but I do understand you were sick. The Buffalo Bills brought in yet another wide receiver, somebody that I know that you are very familiar with, Elijah Moore, right? He spent his first 2 years with the New York Jets. He ended up asking for a trade. He was traded over to the Cleveland Browns. Very highly touted prospect in the NFL draft about 4 years ago. But his production wasn't necessarily there. And based off of like what I've been hearing from various analysts is that he was largely underutilized over in New York, like never was blessed like with the appropriate quarterback play. What are your thoughts on Elijah Moore, and why do you think that he didn't succeed over in New York? So do you think it was more of a utilization thing, or it was the quarterback throwing him the football? Like, what should Bills fans expect from this player?
This is someone that is really physically talented that just never really figured out mentally. I mean, I was a big fan of Elijah Moore. I was able to meet him in person, and we had a cool conversation. And the reality of what he did, it's sad because the time I met him and then that season that transpired was where this whole thing happened. And if you're unfamiliar with the story, Bills fans, just know that Elijah Moore basically quit in the middle of the season on the Jets. And then if your immediate reaction, like, oh, yeah, it's the Jets, of course he would. Come on, bro. You're in the NFL. He quit. Like, the Jets, by the way, were having a winning record. Do you guys remember when the Jets with Zach Wilson were winning earlier in the season? I think we were like 5-2 at that time. And he demanded a trade and quit on the team while the Jets were 5-2. And there was something weird going on with him. And then he wanted out. He wasn't getting utilized. He was that typical, like, I need the ball. If I'm not getting he prioritized himself over winning. And that's really what got him out of New York. The Jets were finally winning. And the Jets fan base is finally feeling a sense of victory. Like, oh my God, we're winning football games. We just beat this team, that team. And then Elijah Moore is like, yeah, I want out. And it just caught Jets fans by surprise because that was the best start we've had in a while. And by the way, if you don't know, remember how that season ended. The Jets lost like 5 games in a row, which is why we missed the playoffs. We were situated to make the playoffs that year, if you guys forgot. And that is what happened. And I think he's really talented. And then he goes to Cleveland with the Browns. He did nothing with the Browns, and the Browns is another bad organization. He's very talented, and if he's locked in, man, with Josh Allen and the Bills, he's definitely going to provide an impact. I don't think he's going to be someone putting up even 800 or 1,000 yards. I think he can get you 450, 500 yards and be a productive guy. Like, it's not like he has any drop issues or anything like that. Like, I just don't feel like his Ole Miss tape ever translated to the NFL consistently, and a lot of that had to do with his like wanting the ball all the time.
So the character concerns are certainly there for me too, but like sort of like I said, what I was looking for was traits, like somebody that could like have an answer for what Buffalo is looking for as far as the receiving game. And he's fast as hell, so runs a 4.35. Yes, he's better in the slot, but he's actually played the majority of his career on the outside. What makes me feel better is that he's only on a 1-year deal, right? And plus, like, his contract is all lined up with incentives. So like he needs to hit like a certain mark. So as far as his receptions, so as far as games started. So I think this is largely a Stephon Diggs and Houston Texans sort of scenario where like he wasn't causing a lot of trouble over in Houston. Number one, because he got hurt. And then of course, with number two, he's not going to be here long enough to say, oh yeah, I'm getting pissed. Just go on ahead and trade me. I don't think that he's going to do that again. I feel like he's just, he's happy that he's finally getting like a for sure quarterback like type situation. TD, thoughts on Elijah Moore, right as the Buffalo Bills' newest wide receiver?
Buffalo showing that they messed up in the draft. That's what this is. So I really think y'all should have got a wide receiver in the early rounds, another solidified weapon. That's what this league is kind of going to when you look at all of these teams. Elijah Moore is that perennial 500-yard guy. That's what you could expect every single season, that 500 yards, whether it was with the Jets or it was with the Browns. Now, the difference is with the Browns, he started to develop more by getting more receptions. That started to show itself a little bit better. But with Buffalo, here's how I look at it. Who was his quarterback with the Jets? Don't even know. I don't even remember. Who was his quarterback with the Browns? Just inconsistencies. But when you have Josh Allen, I think he elevates his game to about a 700-yard receiver, takes the next step. And that could be huge for Buffalo.
Yeah.
That could be huge for Buffalo. They don't need him to be an 8'9", 1,100-yard guy, but he might be able to elevate his game to that 700, and if it's phenomenal, it'll be 800 yards. And maybe that's all Buffalo needed. I don't know.
And so we just need a situational guy, right? So like we just need a dude that can win vertically. He's fast enough. He's shown that he could. And then maybe Josh Allen will be able to get the best out of him, which is ideal.
But here's my problem.
Plus, so here's one thing that I've sort of looked at it as well. Like I wanted Jalen Royals and I wanted Kyle Williams. And both of them, with Williams went over to the Patriots and then Royals ended up going over to the Kansas City Chiefs. But so the more and more that like I look at it, a day 3 wide receiver or Elijah Moore, I'm probably going to take Elijah Moore right over to the gamble of both of those dudes that ultimately ended up going in day 3. It's a safer pick for me, right? Because like, he's proven that he can give us 400, 500 yards a game. And that's what we were looking to replace as Mac Hollins ended up leaving with like 300 plus yards, right? Same thing with some other weapons. So I feel almost better about this.
Here's my concern with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen per se. How long do you want Josh Allen to clock in 600 rushing yards? How long? Like, do you think that that's be?
How much longer?
Yeah, like do you think that's going to be like the next 5 years? He's still clocking 600 rushing yards, 8, 9 rushing touchdowns. Do you want to keep doing that, is he going to be able to keep doing that? So if the answer is no, which the smart thing should be to not have to rely on that anyway. So if the answer is no, you got to figure out ways to make up for that production. And that's why a lot of people feel like you still need another weapon, because Josh Allen has carried the lack of, and the Bills have been just fine with that. But at some point, you got to offset that. Like, y'all have never had a situation of a Tyreek Waddle, a Devontae Garrett, what's his name? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Y'all have never had a two-headed monster situation. Y'all have had one head and a whole bunch of sprinkles that are really solid. And I think the difference in Buffalo is that one more. And I think it can make all the difference in the playoffs when you play teams like the Chiefs. Just my take. I know the defense struggles, but you just got to score more than them.
I love it. Richie, you said it. He was not getting used enough, and come on. Look at who you had at quarterback. With the Cleveland's quarterback, you say 450 to 500 yards. And so the dude had 600 with the Browns. Bad take, Richie. He's an 800-yard wide receiver. Dwayne.
Yeah, well, I also feel like the reason why I said that number is because the Bills have guys on the roster that's already proven. Yeah. I like guys on the roster that's going to eat, like, he's getting 800 yards. You got Khalil Shakir. You just signed, what's his face, Palmer?
It's tough for me to really be able to give anybody.
You got Keon Coleman. I mean, like, what is everybody going to get? Like,
yeah,
that's why
it's tough. It's tough for me to like put like 1,000 yards on any of our receivers this year. Like very much, right? Because like that's just kind of how this team operates, right? Like last year we had Shakir go over 800, and then I think the next closest dude was at like high sixes. I could be wrong.
So you're telling me that Elijah Moore is going to replicate what Khalil Shakir did for you guys last year? That's crazy.
It's not even.
Shakir is a better football player than Elijah Moore.
So like how I look at Elijah Moore, and again, like I look at him situationally, and I'm glad, right? Like he's going to be our deep threat. But I still think that Shakir is probably going to dominate like targets.
He's going to be like third or fourth, or maybe even barely fifth in receiving yards on your team.
So, but hey, like that's fine for me.
Yeah,
right? Say that he could.
It's not a big deal.
Say that he could slightly improve, because like really how I look at it is Shakir. He's doing his thing. Then Keon Coleman, say that he can give me 700, 750. Say that Dalton Kincaid can come back out, right? And like get right in the top 3. Like we just need someone that could like replicate the same production that Mac Hollins put up last year. Slightly better, ideally. And then Josh Palmer, who in my opinion has a very similar skill set to what Amari Cooper brought to the table.
So what's your thoughts on Keon Coleman? Is he just like forgotten at this point now?
Which is crazy.
So it's funny with that, right?
Like Keon Coleman is supposed to be.
So for me, why we drafted him was that we wanted the contested catch guy, and say that we wanted an improvement in contested catches. We got that exactly last year. He was very good in those scenarios. So I feel like people, they give up on players way too soon, right? So I think as long as he stays healthy and he continues to be our red zone threat and he's still our contested catch guy, like we have a speed guy now. Technically, we have 2 speed guys. We have Curtis Samuel, who I think is going to be more of like a situational gadget guy. Who knows? Maybe he has a breakout year. We have a route runner in Shakir. We have a route runner in Josh Palmer. But like now we have all that. It's still very much going to be an everybody eats type thing. My hot take is nobody surpasses 1,000 yards receiving. But I do agree with TD, surprisingly enough, where he says, how much longer do you want Josh Allen to have 500 to 600 yards rushing? Not much longer. Not much longer.
Because a breakdown could be like, people don't realize it could compound.
Yeah, like here's the deal. Like we have been able. So 2 or 3 years ago, when I've heard like, so the Bills and Josh Allen have never had like a dynamic, like 2-headed monster at the wide receiver position. Oftentimes what I would say is like, we have a quarterback where we don't need that. But as Josh gets older, eventually we will. And so eventually we will need like a tandem like that. Like now I think we're good. But like 2 to 3 years from now, like we're going to need an AJ Brown and a Devontae Smith type pairing. I'd say once he gets like 32, 33 years old, like that's where it's going to be very important.
Bills fans, y'all are lucky. You've avoided that terrible look of 2 players on his side helping him off the field. You've avoided that. They got to figure out a way to make sure they can keep avoiding that. But continuing to rush him like that, I'm telling you, it's almost like you asking for it eventually.
Yeah. Like, so I don't want to take it completely out of his game yet.
Of course.
It's reasonable. that eventually,
but not designed, only
yeah.
when necessary.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, the play broke down, let me go get it. But y'all still design running, Josh.
Yeah, like once he gets over 33, 34, like we need to have a considerable downturn in that production. I totally agree there. Solid run game, solid receivers here and there. Let's just I don't know. Let's just figure it out, man. Let's just figure it out. Moving on to the next. We have developing Jaxson Dart, man. He sounds like he's going to be QB3 this year and really take some time to learn behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Here's the exact quote. We went through this with Josh Allen, but we didn't have a Russell Wilson or a Jameis Winston at the time. I could only assume that has come from the front office and or Brian Daboll. Sounds like Brian Daboll is doing whatever he can to replicate the Josh Allen situation. But now, rather than the rookie sitting behind Nathan Peterman, he is actually sitting behind two guys that are decent starters right within the league. Do y'all think that Jaxson Dart gets a snap in regulation this year, or do you think the Giants would be smart to literally sit him for the entire damn season to learn? TD, thoughts?
If you any good, of course you're going to get a snap. You got Russell Wilson, and the only thing he can do now is throw moonballs. And Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston be having a little skill, but you already know what you get in there, turnover machine. If you're any good, you should be getting some you should play this year. I don't care if you want to wait to week 10. He needs to play this year if he's any good. This notion of, just let him sit and learn. Them guys ain't going to teach him nothing other than how to be a pro. But play on the field, he should already be better than both of them, by the way. If he's that guy, he should already right now be better than both of them. So I don't want to hear nothing about Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was coming off of MVP season, still at the peak of his career. It ain't even no comparison. That's not, y'all stop that mess. If he's any good, he need to see the field. Because here's what I don't understand. What if you get to camp, Jaxson Dart out there playing like Mahomes, just hypothetically, out there playing like Mahomes, but you got the two veterans. What you gonna do? Well, we just want to sit you for the year. Man, stop. If you balling out, you play. It's that simple. If you out playing them in camp, you play. And if you worried about any development or anything like that, send them out there with zero expectations. I have never been a believer that there's anything negative about letting the young guy play. What's negative is if you send him out there with expectations. That's what's negative. You can't, there is nothing wrong with giving real-time experience against different defenses. It's nothing but a positive. Zero expectations is the key, though, because if he bombs it out, you shouldn't have started. No, that's good he bombed out. Now he knows what to expect. That's my take on it. I know everybody got different takes. Now, if he's not looking as good as those other guys, of course, let him develop, sit him down. And if he's looking slightly better than those guys, okay, maybe sit him down still. But if he out there looking as good as you think he should against those two guys, he got to go. He got to play. Start your experience.
He's got to play. Richie, thoughts on this, man? And should the Giants take the old historical thought process of waiting for a quarterback to develop? Or do you think that he will see some snaps this year?
No, I think we already know the plan is in front of our face. They drafted Jaxson Dart, trading up for him in the first round while having two veterans on the roster for this exact reason. He's going to sit and he's going to learn, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He's in the New York market. You best believe there are going to be expectations when he trots on that football field. I don't care what other team it is in New York. If you go out there as a first-round pick, you're going to have expectations. And if he bombs it out, the media is going to eat him alive. So I think the Giants are smart the way they're handling this. I think that having him sit and learn, and maybe if by the middle of the season, Wilson's struggling, Winston's looking trash, and then Dart's looking like he's ready to go, then you put him out there. But I think it's definitely smart for them to go into it with the approach of him being QB3, earning his role. And you also look at what Jaxson Dart specifically as the prospect that he is, he out of anybody would benefit the most from sitting. I just don't look at it. I don't look at Jaxson Dart, and I said this in my whole evaluation. He's not ready. He needs to sit. He plays in such a vanilla, non-NFL offense. Like, that's someone that's going to take some time to figure it out mentally. And the mentality of the NFL is a completely different world. I don't care how good his arm is and how athletic Jaxson Dart is. He needs to be able to understand the playbook, because if you throw him out there and he's not ready, I mean, it's just going to be a disaster. Like, he has to have a long season of sitting or a half a season, because I really think that him in particular in that Ole Miss offense, they ran the whole offense out of the shotgun. They barely even did any cadence. It was just a clap. It was an RPO system. Like, there was no NFL base there. Like, it's going to be a long learning curve for Dart. And I think so many people forget about that element of the quarterback position. They think it's just, you got an arm, you got legs, you can go out there and throw and play well. Like, no, you need to. The great quarterbacks get the playbook. They understand, they see the game with precision, confidence, and he's got to get there. And Brian Daboll is a tough coach offensively, and he's going to demand a lot from him, which is why I think he's in a perfect situation of him to sit and learn this year.
He's in a perfect situation to sit and learn, but this is exactly why they shouldn't have drafted him, because everybody knows everything Richie just said. It's a fact. He's the type of guy that still needs to develop. That's why, hey, Shedeur Sanders blew it for himself. Shedeur Sanders already had the mental. He already could process the field. He could already do those things. And this is where the Giants, hey, they took a swing on him. Let's see how it works out.
So it's funny because we're sitting here looking at quarterback situations, and one that's not as clear happens to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know that this is an impromptu topic, but I find it interesting. Let's hop into the reality that maybe Aaron Rodgers does retire or he does not come. I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation, and they have Mason Rudolph, they have Skylar Thompson, and they just drafted Will Howard. All right. If you were Mike Tomlin, who are you going with as your week 1 starter? If you had to. If you were to ask me, I'm probably going with the rookie Will Howard. So I think that he has the size, he has decent accuracy, he has that mobility factor as well. I'd probably roll the dice there, because you know that the defense is going to bail him out quite a bit. You would be throwing him into the Wolves, but let me know if you guys are on the same page, or if Tomlin should just run out with the familiarity and go with Mason Rudolph. Richie.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Rudolph week 1. I don't think throwing Will Howard as a rookie week 1 would be smart whatsoever, unless in camp he just is lighting it up. I think you started off with Mason Rudolph, who has been a Steeler, understands the philosophy, understands things. And if he starts failing, then that's when you can make a quarterback change. I think giving Rudolph the opportunity, but also going into camp with an open mind. I don't think you just say, Rudolph, you're our guy, and no matter what happens in camp, doesn't matter. I think you go into the whole training camp with Skylar Thompson, Rudolph, and Howard all competing. But I think Rudolph is going to eventually get it. And remember, he went in there last year with the Titans and looked pretty solid. Like, looked better than Will Levis at times, which isn't a big deal, right? But I think Mason Rudolph is going to get that starting gig, and then I think it's going to be a very short leash for him if he starts to struggle.
So what do you think, TD?
This is interesting. There's an element that nobody's paying attention to in the event that Aaron Rodgers does not come to Pittsburgh. And I know people are going to laugh, be like, oh my gosh, but listen to me here.
Kirk Cousins.
No, Skylar Thompson. Mike Tomlin went and got Skylar Thompson as soon as he was available, signed him immediately. I think Skylar Thompson was one of those guys they were looking at to bring in the late rounds in the draft, and they didn't, and the Dolphins did. And they've always had their eye on him. I think what's important is you don't know what you have, especially some guys can show up in different ways in different scenarios. And Dan, you should know this best. I know we rank on Skylar Thompson, but how did he do in that playoff game versus Buffalo?
He did well.
In a playoff game in freezing cold weather, one possession game at the end of the game. And let's not forget, 2 touchdowns in the game were dropped by our wide receivers. 2 in the game. So Mike Tomlin is going to, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up, he's going to have an open competition in camp, and the best man wins the job. I'm not saying Skylar would be that guy at all, but you never know in a new system, new environment. And let's not forget, he was stuck trying to operate to a system when he got a way better arm that isn't limited. So in Mike Tomlin's system, if they go by camp competition, you don't know who's going to come out of that, the rookie, Mason, or Skylar. You might be shocked. You might be shocked at the outcome of who comes out of that battle.
Man, we will see. We will see. Moving on to one more quarterback topic, J.J. McCarthy. All right, he's entering in his redshirt rookie season. And if you were to ask JJ, it sounds like that he has all the confidence in the world with becoming QB1 over in Minnesota. He says, quote unquote, I know I am ready to start. And this is after he suffered a meniscus tear during the Vikings 2024 preseason opener. All right, where I thought that his film looked actually really, really good. A lot of Vikings fans were very pleased with what they saw from that preseason performance. But, I mean, hey, listen, he is 1 year removed from playing football entirely. Last time he played football was in college ball, and now he's being placed in with the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Is he ready? He has to be, because he is going to be QB1, barring any sort of miracle. If Aaron Rodgers ends up signing there instead, who knows? Probably not. Is he ready? Or do you see a bit of some growing pains from the young rookie in 2025? TD.
KOC better be praying every night, man. I'm telling you now, because I don't know. I can't judge this kid. I have no clue if he's ready or not. And coming a year off of an injury, not playing football, I could have believed you had a little something last year, but now you know how things are when you get back from an injury. You either it or you're not. And if you're not, it takes a while to get back. You know, not writing you off that you won't, but if you don't show right away, and we don't have a baseline for him outside of college. So listen, KOC must be a believer, must like it. But I'm going to tell you now, man, he has big shoes to fill. And I'm not even just talking about Sam Darnold. Look at what this team has done for the last 6-7 years. Plus 10 wins almost every single year. One of the better offenses in the league for quite some time now. This kid got big shoes to fill. If that offense stagnates, that's going to be very bad for KOC and company, because if that's the case, you should have just brought back Sam. But they're gambling on JJ. They put the assets behind them. Let's see what happens.
Let's indeed see what happens. Richie, what do you think, man? Is JJ McCarthy ready? Do you think there's going to be some growing pains, man? Talk to us.
Yeah, there's of course going to be growing pains, but that's okay. And, you know, I think JJ McCarthy is the opposite of a Jaxson Dart from a prospect standpoint. JJ played in an NFL style offense in college.
That's true.
So coming out, he always felt like he was the most NFL ready, where Jaxson Dart's not the case. So that's where I give him the benefit of the doubt. Him sitting and learning last year could be a blessing in disguise for JJ. Obviously, suffering a torn meniscus is not good, but there could be a silver lining in that, where I am such a strong believer in being able to sit and being able to mentally process things without having to go out there in the field benefits you. And I think that he's ready. I think that there will be growing pains, but it's up to him to use those growing pains as opportunities to grow and get better. And, you know, that's what makes you a tough player. That's what makes you the greatest players in the league. You know, it's the strongest minded guys. And he does have strong shoes to fill, no doubt about it. And he's got all the talent around him in the world to succeed. You got JJ, you got Addison, Aaron Jones is still there. The tight end is still a stud. You've revamped the offensive line a little bit. So there's no reason why he can't succeed other than himself.
Man, we're going to see. Chat, certainly let us know your thoughts on JJ McCarthy. Will he be able to be the guy? All right. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, a name that a lot of us have forgotten. He was the running back that took the league by storm just a couple of years ago. One of the few positive things to come out of the Cleveland Browns organization. We have Nick Chubb. All right. I'm not sure if you guys have been seeing, but he is back into wowing us with his weight room videos, man. Sitting here power cleaning about 500 pounds. All right. It seems like he's healthy and he's still wanting to play. And it sounds like the Chicago Bears are interested in bringing him in. If you were to ask me, why the hell not? All right. Because currently, I think if I were to dissect the Chicago Bears roster, especially for an offense that is so desperately wanting to provide some security for their quarterback and Caleb Williams going into year 2, I think this is a no-brainer for me. Yes, he is coming off of some pretty significant knee injury, but how much realistically is it going to cost? Now you're adding Chubb right behind a revamped offensive line, specifically built within the interior. I don't think that he's going to go out there and give 1,000 plus yards, but I do think it's an automatic upgrade from DeAndre Swift, who is currently RB1 for you. TD, should the Bears be seriously considering bringing in Nick Chubb on a cheap contract to help that Chicago Bears team out?
Well, I know we're relating him to the Bears. The answer is yes. Veteran presence in the room as well could always help with a young team. But half the teams in the league should be interested in Nick Chubb, if anything.
I agree.
You know, and if it's on a team-friendly deal, what can you lose? All you can do is potentially gain a massive upside if things work out. I see him jumping over those, what were the barrels or something? I don't know what it was, but I mean, he was jumping over successively. Listen, that's athleticism at its finest. It's almost like he never was hurt. Half the teams in the league should be calling him up and saying, "Hey, come give us a workout. Let's talk."
Some Nick Chubb action. Rich, thoughts? Should the Bears seriously consider bringing in Nick Chubb? What are the benefits and what are the concerns? Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the concerns is the health of Nick Chubb, but I think you look at the running back room, they really lack that number 2 guy next to DeAndre Swift. I mean, I'll give you guys an opportunity. Can you even name who the number 2 and number 3 running back is?
I think they drafted somebody, didn't they? I think they drafted RJ Harvey. I could be wrong. Let me see.
No, RJ Harvey went to Denver.
That's right. Bears running back.
Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer, Kyle Monangane.
Yeah, he was the one that they drafted in the 7th round. Okay, so never mind.
So
it's DeAndre Swift is who they have, basically.
Yeah, my point is I wouldn't have known who they are if I didn't look it up. I just have the depth chart in front of me. Yeah, there's no reason why not to bring in Nick Chubb. I think it's a no-brainer. If there was a team that needs him the most, I would say it's him. I didn't realize the Bears got Luther Burden. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, their playmakers are looking good. They revamped the offensive line. I really do like their offensive line right now. You draft Luther Burden. You drafted Roma Dunze last year. You have DJ Moore. Your receiving threat is there. And you need that running game. And I like Swift, but you got to make sure that running game is stout, right? You got to make sure the running game is stout.
So they're trying to be us so bad. First, Zach Wilson. Now Elijah Moore.
The AFC East rivals, man, danger zone. They're just stealing our guys. First, Miami with Mike White and Zach Wilson. And then Mike White went to Buffalo, and now Buffalo's taking Elijah Moore. It's just they just can't stop stealing our guys.
What we've realized is y'all just don't know how to use anybody.
How was Mike White with y'all?
He served his purpose.
A better Jet than a Dolphin. That's a fact.
He served his purpose.
Talking.
He served.
No, he was a better Jet than he was a Dolphin, so I'd stop talking.
He served his purpose.
Nice try. That just went right back in your face after saying that.
Richie, we better than y'all. That's all that matters.
See, that's what he does when he knows you lose. He lost an argument. We better than y'all.
We're better than y'all, man. All right. Well, you know what, folks, we are having a great offseason with you guys, and we really appreciate it because we have identified some of the football fanatics, because I do understand once the Super Bowl is over or once your favorite team is all but eliminated from playoff contention, a lot of fans end up just disappearing until week 1. So we understand that everybody watching here truly rocks with us. And I'll tell you what, y'all keep this network alive for the absolute football fanatics that rock with us 24/7, 365. We appreciate that. Now, if you're enjoying the show, as always, please do us a favor, smash that like button. It's the easiest way to show love over here on the network. Richie, what would you like to say to the audience before we send them off on this beautiful Thursday afternoon?
Folks, do not forget to fill out the form for our events this year. The link is right now in the chat. If you guys wanted to go over there and fill it out, it's basically going to give you access to the priority list. And we need to get a head count of all of the people that are interested in coming to this year's events. We don't know where we can go unless you guys fill this out. All right. So if you guys are interested in coming to an AFC East Roundtable event this year, fill out this form because we need to know who your favorite team is. Are you willing to travel? How many tickets are you interested in? Because again, we need to find out how many tickets we are needing to get, which cities we're going to go to. So we cannot plan these events without the form. So please, if you're interested in coming to the events this year, come on through, click the link in the description. And that's now in the live chat. Fill out the form. It should take you 1 minute, and that's that. So we appreciate you guys big time. Much love to everybody. As always, as we will see you tomorrow.
That's what you got, TD.
Another beautiful show, man. Y'all share the video. Let everybody know that this is the #1, especially off-season midday show, fourth and forever. Here to provide you with all the latest on NFL news.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We love each and every single one of you, and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Peace.
We are, ow, whoa, whoa. Dolphins trash, 4th place.